All right, calm down, calm down. I know. It was really touch and go there for a second, but calm down. It's okay now. I know. They lied. They cheated you. They straight up cheated you. Valve promised a patch every 2 weeks on a Thursday, and then released this one on a Sunday. I know. Despicable. Probably the worst thing Valve has ever done as a company. Now, nobody can ever trust Valve to release things on time ever again. And they were doing so well with it. I mean, obviously I kid, but the reason it was late was because I think Valve have publicly stated a couple of times that they won't ever release these bi-weekly patches if they fall into the schedule of a Dota major. And turns out there was actually a major over the last couple of days. Yeah, ESL Birmingham or something? But I mean, first I've heard of it, and I was looking on Twitch all through last week, never came up. The second that wrapped though, bam, the patch notes came out, and boy oh boy, are there a couple of juicy things to talk about. Unfortunately, the general category doesn't have any of them. Basically, bounty runes have been buffed, nerfed. I mean, I've lost track. Flip a coin every patch to determine the state of bounty runes in that patch, because it seems like IceFrog really can't nail down exactly what he wants bounty runes to do. I think it's nerfed right now. Earlier, a rune at 30 minutes gave 130 gold to all teammates, and now it gives 100. Now, I mean, of course, 5 hours in, instead of giving 940 gold, it only gives 640. That's game-losing stuff, I know. Also, every single hero with a movement speed talent has now had that movement speed talent nerfed by 5. I don't... Moving on. And then for a couple of agility heroes, they've had their base HP regen up to 1.75 health per second, which sounds awesome, but before this patch it was already 1.5, so in reality it's nearly next to nothing. And damn dude, it's getting harder and harder to pad these videos out to 10 minutes for that sweet ad revenue. Maybe I should just not have ads at all this video, as a treat. What I still find really weird is that Mango's had their sale of being 70 gold a couple of patch notes back, and they haven't really gone back up in price. Some sale, right? Don't they understand economics? With them still being 70 gold, inevitably they'd get, I mean, at least some sort of other nerf, because as they were last patch, they were amazing for literally just filling your inventory up with them and barreling on down a lane with infinite regen. Now, with a nerf of 0.6 to 0.5 each, it's only nearly infinity, which in the grand scheme of things is still quite a lot. To those of you who are pledges on Patreon, you already know where I stand on mangoes, and because I mean, you saw the 6 mango axe build I just uploaded. To the rest of you, just ignore what I just said. And then, I mean, mostly everything is just a gold cost tweak of 10 gold here, 100 gold here. Midas got a small change on paper that could grow exponentially in an actual game. So let's just pull out the calculator here and check. Okay, so every single use has a cooldown of 95 seconds when before it was 100. I mean, that compounds pretty fast, right? So let's compare. Say 10 uses and see how much more money we gain. With 100 seconds before, we can use it once. Then 100 seconds later, use it again, using it on a small creep if we're wanting more money and a bigger creep if we're wanting experience. Or actually, maybe not even. To be fair, if you've bought this as a farming item, you can use that deciding technique in theory, but in practice, you've probably bought it pretty early, right? I mean, why would you be buying a farming item in the late game unless you're using it to, I don't know, counter Chen or Enchantress, or that Helm Dominator IO thing I saw a handsome young man once talk about. Either you're doing that, or you lost your lane so hard, so fucking hard, that you need this to desperately catch up, or maybe simply you just suck at itemizing. Yikes. Okay, but let's just assume you're good. I mean, you better be good. There's a skill guide to watch my videos where I report you to YouTube if I find out that you're shitty, so watch out. If we've bought this early, odds are that we've bought this on a hero who doesn't also have an innate farming ability. I mean, that's why we have Midas. I mean, historically, it's picked up on Invoker, Wraith King, and Ancient Apparition the most, so there's empirical evidence to back that up. The lack of farming abilities that has caused you to build Midas will also cause you to have to use Midas on the big creep. Every single time. I mean, it's just efficient. In theory, you gain more gold by using Midas on the small creep, but in reality, you have to factor in the time it takes to kill the creep. And we don't have ways to speed that up. That's why we bought Midas. So maybe always use it on the big creep. Unless, of course, you're like playing Wraith King, because as we all know, that guy can instantly one-shot creeps with a crit. I mean, it's almost broken how easy it is to... Oh, I'll read ahead. Wraith King got changed? Oh no. Where I'm going with all of this is 10 uses on a big creep previously took exactly 15 minutes. 1 use immediately and then 100 seconds between sequential uses. But now 10 uses takes 14 minutes and 15 seconds. Which is, I mean, an amount. Hey man, it's inarguably shorter, right? In 30 minutes, we used to get 20 uses of 200 bonus gold each, so at least 4,000 gold, not factoring in the normal creep bounty. But in 30 minutes now, we get 21. Is that really it? Wow. I mean, the real game changer is, of course, again, 5 hours in, where we used to get 200 uses and now get 215. Game-winning stuff. But then again, all of this is irrelevant if you have Midas and forget to use it for 5 minutes like I do constantly. They've added a new item to the game, which is cool, although the design is a little uninspired. It looks a lot like just a blue reskin of the Observer Ward icon. But yes, Sentry Wards. It was a joke. Get it? Sentry Wards have had a massive increase in uptime from 4 minutes to 6 minutes. Why Sentry Wards didn't have this already is extremely perplexing to me, considering Observer Wards do. They have 6 minutes, and Observer Wards are cheaper than Sentries. But no, Sentry Wards have finally had enough of a big buff to possibly maybe make people other than supports consider buying them. There's always been a lot of hesitation when it comes to buying Sentries. Some arguments for not buying them seem wholesome up front, but are clearly dirty lies. I've heard the never not funny, I don't want to ruin the support's fun by buying Sentry Wards instead of him, which, I mean, come on. I've also heard it'll just instantly get de-warded, which is, I mean, hard to argue with because yes, sometimes it does happen. Your ward is immediately counted. But still, the big complaint that I've heard all through the years is Sentry Wards run out too fast anyway, and as soon as it does, they'll just place another ward there. So what's the point of de-warding that one if they're just going to put up another one there anyway, which is frustrating to no end because it's usually followed up with, just assume that there's a ward on that spot and don't go there anyway, idiot. And yes, the idiot part is part of the phrase. It's not authentic to a Dota person without an insult at the end, even if it's completely unwarranted. Like geez, I just asked you to de-ward, buddy. I know I'm hoping against hope, but maybe this is the Sentry Ward buff that finally convinces people to buy Sentries. Please? And finally, for items, Vladimir's offering has had a buff to its mana regen aura, which is actually sort of good. Later this week, I was actually releasing a special only way to decide which item aura to pick video. The title is probably going to change. There's drums, helm, Vlads, or mech, but with this, I think I've got to do some rewrites because in the first draft of that video, I actually sort of ripped into Vlads as the worst option in every scenario. But it now actually has something going for it in mana regen for a team. And yes, I mean, I know, Arc Boots do that too, but shut up. Finally, the meat of the video, right? I mean, patch 716 was a hero changes patch. Every even-numbered patch brings massive changes. The odd-numbered patch that comes out at the start of next month just tweaks a little bit. But this patch in particular, though, is big. I mean, kinda. I mean, Alchemist has been given 1 buff, so this isn't a really good start. But he's been given a buff after being beaten to a pulp by nerfs over the last couple of months. Man, I was writing this really awesome support Alchemist guide a while back that was instantly ruined by nerfs, so I'm a little salty about that one. Maybe if Alch gets a few more buffs like this before TI8 and then the really big crazy changes that you know will absolutely happen after TI8, maybe this support Alchemist video will see the light of day. Bane has unfortunately taken a hit to Enfeeble. You know, between you and me, I don't think he's a very good mid anymore. Oh, he wasn't being played mid? Oh, well, cool. He's pretty much the exact same as he was. Chaos Knight was buffed by a measly 2 intelligence at the start of the game. 2 int, that's 24 mana. Pretty much completely irrelevant, except he's I mean, he's been given a section in Only Way to Play, so, I mean, clearly I have a bit more to say on it, right? I mean, I skipped over Anti-Mage because his one was sort of and it's thus. 2 more int being 24 extra mana is the perfect mini buff to give to a hero like Chaos Knight, because 24 mana is the exact amount of mana he needed to be able to cast Chaos Bolt twice. Before 716, the only way to have enough mana for 2 Chaos Bolts at level 1 in one clash was to burn a mango or stack iron branches. Burning a mango so early means you lose the regen and it's just, you know, inefficient, and iron branches, while minuscule in the grand scheme, are still not optimal when most CKs go Soul Ring as their mana solution rather than Magic Wand, and so they start the game with Gauntlets of Strength instead of Iron Branch. I mean, I know, I'm making a big deal about this, but this little change is just cleaner. You know what I mean? I don't know what a better word for it is. It's just tidy. There's no finickiness to be able to cast 2 Chaos Bolts anymore, and at level 2, we can even cast 2 Chaos Bolts and a Reality Rift. It's just so much simpler to play Chaos Knight, and it was all thanks to a measly 2 int. Great buff. A not so measly buff comes in the way of Clinkz's Strafe no longer having a count limit. I mean, just a refresher, a couple of patches ago, Strafe was changed so instead of it giving 130 attack speed over 4 to 10 seconds with absolutely nothing else, it now gives less attack speed at level 1 with 80, but more past that at 140 at level 2, then 200, and then 260 at level 4. And while only having a duration of 3 seconds now instead of 4 to 10, it also causes you to be able to dodge projectiles like that goddamn agent from the Matrix. But in actuality, it was just 3. Just 3 projectiles. And then it immediately shut off. So maybe not the agent and just that one shitty Neo guy.
Only human.
So obviously, it's an insanely big nerf. Like, disgustingly big nerf to Strafe as it once was, because old Strafe lasted 10 seconds, regardless of what happened to you. Unless, of course, you got dispelled, but, I mean, shush. Whereas casting Strafe now against a focus-firing Wind Ranger or Fury-swiping Ursa, or damn dude, even just 3 or more heroes all attacking you at once, instantly cancels Strafe. You know how easy it is to be hit 3 times when there's a billion units in the game trying to kill you? It was the absolute worst change to happen to Clinkz in years, and I feel pretty confident in saying that out loud because what's happened now is the best change in years. So get this, instead of dodging 3, we now dodge an infinite amount. Fucking infinity! You know how much of a percentage growth that is? I fucking went on at length about Chaos Knight getting +2 int at game start. Fucking +2! Clinkz got infinity, and this is projectiles. This isn't evasion. This is all projectiles. So, I mean, obviously that means that melee heroes, I mean, they don't have projectiles, they just hit in melee range. But projectiles, you know what this game counts as projectiles? Nearly everything. Sure, ranged attacks, that's a given, but also Vengeful Spirit Stun, Sniper's Assassinate. Dude, the list goes on and on. This will absolutely be the next Only Way to Play guide for June. I have a lot to say on it. Man, I mean, when this was first added, it was so good at dodging, you could even dodge allies spells. Try healing a strafed Clinkz as Oracle with Purifying Flames and watch the guy sidestep that shit, go, I'm too cool for that sugar, and then promptly die because you couldn't heal him. Dark Willow, the unnerfed beast that she is, has, yet again, not been nerfed. Which is weird. She's in Captain's mode right now. She can be picked. She's absolutely set for her breakout appearance at TI8 as this out-of-the-left-field powerhouse, you know? Because, I mean, I'm just putting it out there. I say she hasn't been nerfed, but that's technically not true. She's had a couple. Not enough, but a couple. Bedlam was actually nerfed 2 months back. It went from 40 to 30 to 20 second cooldown per level, to then 40 to 35 to 30 per level. And now in this patch, it's gone from 40 to 35 to 30 to just 30 at all levels. It effectively took 2 months to just slightly rework it. It's now better at level 1. I mean, how's that for a nerf? It's also been given 1 extra second, which doesn't seem like much now, but remember that in 1 second it deals 720 damage. Now multiply that by 5. That's 3,600 damage. And she's in Captain's mode. Much like Bounty Rune, every patch now does something to Invoker. Actually, even more specific than that, Invoker's actual spells haven't been buffed or nerfed since 706D, and that was a year ago. It's only ever Invoke, because basically it's lost its mana cost, again. Great change for Ags Octarine Invokers, especially when paired up with the fact that he has the second highest int gain in the game at 4 a level, plus the fact he rushes Midas, meaning he'll hit level 25 much earlier than average. And still, with all of this, we won't see any Invokers picked at TI8s, which is sad. Io, of course, got nerfed, because of course he did, but barely, dude. I mean, honestly, these changes actually changed nothing for our carry Io. If anything, it sort of encourages it more than going support Io. So let me explain. Firstly, Io having a base movement speed nerf is completely irrelevant upon building Helm of the Dominator, as of course, again, Helm sets your dominated creep to 425, and Tether sets your movement to the same as your Tether target, which is the creep. So, 425, plus of course plus 12% because Tether also gives movement speed. Most games have at least one hero who benefits from the Ag Scepter bonus, so the other level 15 talent doesn't really matter. And the swapping of the health regen talent and the attack every time your target attacks talent doesn't really matter as a core IO, considering we're getting levels faster than a support and we'll hit level 25 and be able to get them both. But it does mean, unfortunately, that we can't also get both plus 20 health regen and 150 gold per minute, or the much bigger one, the target attacks talent and the negative 60-second cooldown on relocate. So I'll concede. It's a bit of a net, but like that'll stop us. Kunkka's change is lame for Divine Rapier stackers, but better for crit stackers? I mean, I guess whether this is a buff or a nerf all sort of depends on how you personally build it. If you're anything like me, you don't build anything on him, because you don't pick him at all. And if you did, you'd pick him as a support. Why haven't I done a Kunkka guide yet? Lich is actually nerfed in the sense that Chain Frost is too powerful. Yeah, I know, right? Now that Chain Frost deals so much damage, you run the risk of actually insta-killing heroes, which means you can't bounce off of them again. I mean, okay, a little bit, but Lich's Chain Frost is now a shockingly good ult, even without a single bounce, which, as you know, is exactly the default sort of Chain Frost I managed to pull off, hence the reason for me playing him as an auto-attacking carry. Meepo's been given a pretty nice buff. Still doesn't really mean that he's good or even slightly playable, but it's a start. You see, Earthbind beforehand used to give true sight to people caught in it, but it couldn't catch invisible people. So, I mean, what's the point, right? And that's a good question. The only time it was actually useful is if you caught a person during their fade time for invis, or caught a person that attempted to get away by using invis. But before this patch, if they successfully went invis before Earthbind hit the ground, even if it hits the ground right on top of them, it doesn't snag. But now it does. A very nice change. I mean, it's great. I'd imagine this would probably be used mostly against Ricky, as Earthbind also roots and disables both his Blink Strike and his Tricks of the Trade. But I mean, it could be used with any invis, like Mirana. Mirana's Moonlight Shadow was given a longer duration. I wonder if there's a counter to that. Speaking of Moonlight, turns out Moonlight is actually the only time Nightstalker should show his ugly vagina face. He's slowly becoming completely useless during the day. Void no longer having a mini-stun is pretty major for TP cancelling or any sort of channeled spell. Ogre Magi's had his pure skill chance numbers pretty much buffed all around. If you're dumb, like me, you'd read these changes and go, wow, that means at level 3, multicast now has a 105% of proccing? When of course that's dumb, and shows very clearly how much I didn't graduate high school. No, what it actually means is that there is a 60% to get a 2x multicast, and then on 2x multicast, the game goes, okay, nice, let's roll again and see if we get another one. If it yet again gets a pass, it goes, awesome, let's go for one more. And if it passes again, bam, 4x multicast. I say this officially because, officially, Ogre Magi is written as a chance-based hero, when we all know, in reality, it's up to the RNG gods' good graces to bestow upon you multicasts. Have you been praying? Did you sacrifice an Arcana before queuing? If you didn't, RNGesus is gonna be mad. Pangolier is clearly a Limp Bizkit fan. Phoenix has had an incredible change. I don't know if I can really take it anymore, man. I mean, I don't know why Phoenix, a hero I have an over 60% win rate with, is still getting buffs. He, in fact, only gets buffs. Why? Do people seriously think he needs them? Because, I mean, I'm aware, and IceFrog's certainly aware, of how good Phoenix is already. Is he just trying as hard as he can without literally directly tweeting, hey, fucking pick Phoenix already to just get us to play Phoenix? Fire Spirits is a hard spell to land, yes, but there are ways around that. Refer to my very old and still very relevant Phoenix only way to play for more on that. Fire Spirits used to deal 40 damage each at level 1, meaning after 16 seconds and 4 effectively skill shots, your reward was a measly 160 damage on a guy. But now it's 320. I mean, Jesus dude, that's the same amount as a level 4 nukes. Good level 4 nukes. It also means that now landing 4 at level 4 is 1280 damage, or even 2080 damage with the level 15 talent, and even more considering I advocate building Veil of Discord on this guy. Phoenix is officially my favorite hero right now. And then there's a lot of changes that I pretty much, I have no comment on, until we get to my ex-favorite hero. You know it. It's Wraith King. Wraith King was hit by the nerf hammer. I mean, it was bound to happen eventually, right? You can have too much of a good thing. And crit Wraith King was a great thing. So just a reminder, Mortal Strike no longer has a chance to insta-kill creeps, but now gains charges for every 2 units that you kill. Which, yeah, I guess is more reliable, but I mean, what a drag, right? I'm not happy, folks. I'm just not happy. Not sad either, just wistful. That's a good word for it. Man, Wraith King is the only hero to ever do this to me, and now he's done it twice. First, when he replaced Skeleton King, and now this. I'm just nostalgic for a time before this, when I could do a crit build. Ah, man, sometimes I fantasize about Skeleton King still being around in this post 7.0 patch world. Crit Skeleton King. Now that would have been fun. Travel my bones, Crit Wraith. Travel my bones down memory lane. What a downer ending. Alright, bye. Hello. This video was brought to you by my pledges. They are Chris 1996, Foxy fucking Loxley, Michael Robb, Mine Siege Towers, Sir Lazarus Diverson, and yes, it is me, Ren. Asbestos, me? Holy shit, it's Bowles. Ick, Fressen Ars, Kim Nelson, Milo Cott, Mr. Magic aka The Tones, Redless, Shadow Sweetheart, Squirting McFlirty, Tefetu, The Adam Sandler Attack Crab, Apache Maori wearing a headwear neckwear nicknamed as Hatcraft, Ashen Rabbit, Carbon Bond, Christian Rudder, Cody Rich is a little shit, English Breakfast Tea, Freed of Malacord, Jeff Miller, Grumman, Hi American, I'm a filthy fucking slark, first picker, Jolly Jew Giant, King Gizzard and the Shitty Wizard, I went to one of their concerts, Leon Silver, Leonard, Tsunami Shadow, Mr. Willie, Much Skill Very Pro WoW, Neutral Platonic Land-Based Vertebrate, Orange Filter Sky, Procrastination Studios, Pro S, Puneeth P, Raphael Silva, Red Mitchell, RJ shouldn't have to play position 5 every game, Ryan Webb, Ruger Mufleur, Serendipity Doodah, Shiva's Guard, Scar, Cyberlegged Lab on the side for it, Spencer Davis, Taco Boondog, The Choco Taku, Thomas Langley, Wazer107, Will Sanders, William Henry Charles Archer Sandy, Yabos McGee, and yeah, Anime Titty. And then the rest.